Welcome to DLB radio show number 12, Dying to Live. It is June 24th, 2017, and this is DJ Mercy and DJ Rami. Take it over.
Hello, everyone. It's so funny, Mercy, that you have such a joyful voice when we're going to talk about dying.
It's just as soon as I go into the radio mode, what else can I say?
Well, the topic today can be a very sensitive one, especially for people who have experienced loved ones pass away. And so I was a bit hesitant to do this show on Dying to Live. And yet I realized that there is really a lot that we can talk about, because after dying is the best part, which is living. And for me, there is no other way to live but to die first. What's your experience on dying and then living?
Well, it's interesting because I know most people, consider dying not a subject they want to delve into. For me, when I came up with this Dying to Live that we have been talking about, it's very liberating. And that is, I'm going to give you the reason why, because we have many ways, there are many levels of dying to live. Of course, the ultimate, I think, is when we really let go of everything, right? We really have died to create something new, to step into another field, let's say. But many years ago, when I started my journey, one of the first things I did do was go through the review of what would happen at that moment if I would hear that my parents had passed away. And at that moment, I realized how much I had a hold on them, because it was like unthinkable, It would give me pain. It would make me cry. And that was, I would say, more than maybe 10 years ago, that I started that journey of letting go, with the knowing that we do not know when is our day here on earth. So that was my first encounter with letting go to live, meaning accepting, embracing that the day would come and that it was okay for me, because they were going where they needed to go, and my life would continue. So this was my first experience of realizing, when I experienced the letting go, how more living you are able to do in this context of something that we normally don't want to visit, a loved one that dies, right, in us. So that was my first experience 10 years ago. What about you, Rami?
Well, very recently I visited somebody at the intensive care unit, and the person was close to dying. He had suffered a stroke and then a cardiac arrest. And I was with his daughter, and we were buying some medicines, and she was holding on to her father's wallet. And I said to her, "You have your father's wallet with you?" And she was smiling. She said, "Yes, I do." And I remember my father, he would always have his wallet with him. I mean, everyone would always have their wallets with him. But you see, here's a dying person who doesn't even know where his wallet is. He doesn't even know, what would happen to his property. He doesn't even know what his funeral arrangements are, what he's going to wear. And that, for me, really stuck to my head, and I realized that even while we are living, we can be so inspired by someone who is dying and learn to let go to the extent of dying. And it's not, if you take away the morbid part of dying, what it really means is letting go and letting the smaller self in us, the ego part, die, so that the bigger self will live. Part of letting go to the point of dying is releasing control, or the need to control situations, and instead letting God be in control. So there's also this kind of freedom that comes with dying. And I always remind myself, as if I know better, on how things should be and how to control things. And as if by controlling things, I can actually make something even better. Now, what's your second experience on dying, or what inspires you about dying?
I had I had this experience with my grandmother, who this was 28 years. I just realized that the first experience that was a loving experience with dying was with my grandmother, and that was almost 28 years. I think it's 28 years this year. Around this time, in May, it was Mother's Day. I was throwing up, and I thought that I was pregnant. And my grandmother sat down beside me. We were in the porch, and just out of the blue said to me, "I won't be able to see that baby of yours. I'm not going to be alive," or something like that. And I looked at her and I said, "Oh my God, Grandma, how can you say that?" And she just quietly, peacefully told me, "Because I already finished my life. I'm doing my daughter's life. I come to the house, I help her in the house, but I'm done." And she at that time was well, no health issues. And within a week of that time, she started to have problems with water in her lungs and weak heart, and of course the process of that situation where in a month, June 26, 27, she passed away. And that was the first time I had had the experience on understanding, of course, not at that moment, but a little bit later, how a soul can really know when it's his time to transition. And not everybody has that opportunity to witness that, but I had the gift, I always say there was a gift, that my grandmother came to me and told me with such calmness, because through the pain of the physical, emotional ride that is of saying goodbye to her while I was pregnant, at the same time that it was the thing that had to happen. It was her choice. It was to be. And it was also for her own journey, her joy and peace. So it's that mixture of the sweet and sour experience that really was very profound. And turned out to be was not the only moment, because 6 months later I was in a party. It was Christmas, and a good friend of mine, her grandmother sits beside me and says, you know, out of the blue again, I used to be fearful of dying, but now I don't, because now I'm just living my daughter's life. I go from one house to another, and I'm done. I have finished. And a month later, she was diagnosed with cancer and passed away 6 months later. Of course, by now, I should have said, is my soul a bartender or a confessor that everybody comes to? Give her these interesting bits of information. But it was really 28 years ago when I really encountered the first part of dying and living. And so that's why I say there's many layers of this conversation of dying to live. What about you, Rami?
You know, it's interesting because after going through a phase of dying, literally, of course, I still go to work every day and see my mother on Sundays, my family, but at night I would practice dying and think about all the things that I have and just pretend that I was dying and letting go. And it was so liberating. I came to a point when I said to myself, pretend, Rami, pretend that you have everything you have ever wanted, and you are everything that you ever wanted to be. You see, a lot of people reach the end of their life thinking that they haven't done enough, thinking that they haven't achieved enough or have enough. But here, what I did was I took it to the other side, which is fulfillment in everything. And when I reached that point, I captured the moment of having everything that I've ever wanted and being everything I've ever wanted. So that kind of feeling, I captured it, I encapsulated it. And that is what I distilled from the art of dying. And from then on, I would always remember that moment and make sure that as much as I can, my every waking and living life would be with that kind of signature or moment. Do you want to try that? Imagine that you have everything that you've ever wanted and that you are everything that you ever imagined to be. You know, if you can close your eyes and imagine that, and then you capture that feeling of fulfillment. Really what happens is you can either go, any which way. You can either just want to die or just want to keep on living. And when you look at things that way, there's really no more difference between dying and living, and that's what makes us immortal. Any other lessons that you gained from dying? Have you practiced dying?
Yes. I have the same with Rami. I have sat myself into disengaging, disconnecting from everyone, And really, literally, because I've experienced the life between life regressions where you go to the last lifetime um, before you were dying and lifted up. I know what that meant. And so I went into that reverie of feeling like, okay, I'm lying down and this is it. This is my time. And letting go of everyone, saying goodbye to everyone, um, feeling like this is disengaging, disconnecting, but it's the most interesting thing is that instead of feeling sorry or feeling pain, I was feeling joy and I was feeling happiness. And I was looking around knowing that each loved ones of mine were in complete oneness in the sense that they were where they needed to be. There was nothing that I needed to attach myself to them, and they didn't need to attach to me. That we had a beautiful experience together. And so, yes, I did have that, where I let go of everything as if I was dying that moment. And to my surprise, what I found was the joy. I found the blessing. I found let's say, how lucky I was, how blessed I was, how beautiful life is. And since then, really, life has a quality that's more joyful. And I can't explain it unless you experience it, but it has sparkle. It sparkles. And so it's a wonderful thing if you can do that exercise.
You know, I've read a lot of stories about saints and the accounts of people who were close to them. And many would say that at the moment of dying, the saints were in a state of bliss, utter bliss. And so I said to myself, why do we need to reach the point of dying to experience bliss when we can actually experience bliss just by learning to let go as if we were dying in order for us to really live. And so with that, I encourage everyone to spend a few evenings going through the motions of quote-unquote dying and letting go of everything. And to just see what happens. Just see if it will make you feel, if it will make you more peaceful, if it will make you lighter, happier, and if it will make you want to live.
I think it's a good thing, Rami, to, like I said, when you start disengaging, realizing that every moment is precious, every moment is a blessing, and you become, really it's all about the mindfulness, about being present, enjoying the moment, the breathe, the chaos, the pain, the whatever is happening at that moment. Because to truly say, I will have to say, I remember just now, several years back, I told my father, they were planning a Thanksgiving with my brother. At that time, he was in the Army in another state, and he was grudgingly saying, oh my God, I have to travel now over there. And I told him these words, you know, Dad, enjoy the time with your grandkids. Because in reality, it's not that you're old and you may not be here tomorrow. It may be that we don't know if those girls will be here tomorrow. We, all of us, are here. And our time is precious. We don't know when is the time that the soul has chosen to exit from the physical plane, because we know that our soul is eternal and is constantly living. It never dies. So from that concept, I would invite you all to do the exercise. It will help you release all these hang-ups, all these hooks, all these mental controls of our minds, and allow yourself to live from the heart. Live knowing you are an eternal soul, having just a wonderful experience in this movie called Earth. Right?
That's very inspiring. Well, thank you so much, Mercy.
Well, thank you everyone for enjoying this brief, small little talk. We can't give you such a long talk on death, but I hope you all enjoyed Dying to Live, and talk to you all soon. Have a wonderful one.